So we're going to do align and hold today. And before we start, did we want to do the 1 minute timer or the 3 minute timer? I said I would check in with you guys about that. And you just give me one or give me three for whichever one you'd rather have me do. I got some ones. I got a one. I can't see your Erica. What did you do? You did a one. Okay, so we'll do a 1 minute timer. And just as we do every single time, the first 3 minutes are up for you to do whatever it is you need to do to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, physically to align and hold. And keeping in notion or keeping in mind this idea that some things might have to change in order for a new thing to be revealed, you might try playing with something different this week than you ordinarily would, or you might do the same thing, but just change how you're thinking about it and see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm starting the timer on my end, and we will hear a little bing. And go ahead and start. The first 3 minutes are for you to do whatever you need to do. So you might find that a little gentle stretching feels nice. You might have to wrangle the pups and the babes. And you'll just notice that in this moment, it is exactly as it is, and we're just connecting with what's happening in this moment. And as you're settling into this moment, allow yourself to just really check in, start to become aware of your breath. Good morning, Steve. We are in the first 3 minutes of free movement. And as you're continuing to be in your body and you're continuing to move around, I'd like you to notice just how the breath is. Once again, we're going to keep coming back to that idea of checking in with the breath. Good morning, Steve. And so every moment coming back to our breath, just noticing what we're noticing as we're moving, as we're fidgeting. Many teachers in the tantric tradition say that our prana is the means by which to fulfill our mind's desires. And our mind here could be our heart, our mind could be our individual soul, our mind could be our unique expression. We've got 1 more minute. Just breathe and move. And as we've got pups and babes, align and hold might be very different for some of us with pups and babes today. And that's okay. We're going to do our best once we get to that part to find steadiness in every shape, depth of breath, as well as steadiness in our focus. So when you're ready, you'll start to make your way onto your hands and knees tabletop position. From here, you have the option of just bringing both of your blocks into the center of your space. Walk your knees a little bit wider than your hips, and then push your bum back towards your heels. From there, you might just walk your hands forward and continue to push your pelvis back to lower your forehead to the floor. You might bring your elbows onto your blocks and inchworm your blocks or your elbows a little forward on the block and allow your forehead to rest onto the floor. Child's pose. So you're either taking a variation with your arms long or your elbows bent. And if the elbows are bent, you might be pressing the palms into each other and the hands coming towards the nape of your neck. And then everyone, just observe and notice right now the weight of the shin bones into the floor. Notice the weight of your belly onto your thighs or into the space between your thighs. And then start to deepen your breath, breathing as wide as you can into your pelvis. Breathing as wide as you can into your low back. And as you continue to breathe wide into the pelvis and wide into the low back, start to notice how you can then breathe into the ribs and the side body. And as you continue to breathe into the pelvis and the low back and the side body, see if you can breathe into that space between the heart and the hands. And then from here, start to tone the back of your throat and invite in your Ujjayi pranayama. And our practice today will really be focused on the breath, noticing the sound of the breath, letting it be consistent, letting it be steady. So we're trying to understand the movement and the fluctuations of our breath so that we can then start to understand the movement and the fluctuations of the mind. So we can start to understand the movement and the fluctuations of our thought patterns and our beliefs. Take 2 more breath cycles here. And then very gently inhale and come back to hands and knees. From here, tuck both sets of toes under. Curl your heart forward and press wide through your hands. When you're ready, you'll exhale and lift your hips up and back, keeping your knees pretty bent for your first foray into down dog. Send your inner thighs back and apart. And then notice if you can start to pull the kneecaps up and reach your heels towards the floor behind you. Return to your breath. And just notice your breath here. And we'll notice for today, we want to continue to come back to our breath. Really hear it, really sense it, really feel it. And for me, I've been working in my personal practice to work on what's called apana vayu. And apana vayu is really connected to your exhales. So I want you to focus on that. Having a strong apana vayu allows us to find safety in ourselves. It allows us to find a sense of purpose in ourselves. And by allowing us to let go of those things that we do not need so that inspiration can come. Got another minute here. Allow yourself to just notice what you notice and deepen your breath. Now in this shape, bring your awareness to where your gaze is and see if you can steady your eyes. Starting to notice how that indicates fluctuation perhaps in the breath, fluctuation in the mind. Allow the gaze to be steady and still. Take your last 3 breath cycles here. As you exhale, bend your knees and start to walk your feet towards your hands. When you get to the top of your space, grab one of your blocks and slide it between your inner shin bones if you'd like. And then either grab opposite elbow or hang your hands to the back of your head. Press down into the big toe mounds, the pinky toe mounds, the front part of your heel. Lightly squeeze into your blocks and pull your kneecaps up, shifting your hips up and over your legs. And then notice here if you can allow the breath to become softer and yet steadier, meaning the inhalation has the same rhythm from beginning to end, and the exhalation has the same rhythm from beginning to end. So part of the teachings of the Yajurveda, this, as we see in the macrocosm, so is present in the microcosm, is this idea that the more that we study what is happening within us, it gives us insight to the things that are happening around us. And conversely, the opposite is true. So the more we study the things that are happening outside of us, the more that we have awareness of the things that are happening inside of us. So as you're here, continue to notice what you notice in this moment about your breath. Continue to notice what you notice about the body. And start to notice what you notice about how the mind works and sensation starts to build. Steady the breath and deepen your breath. Take your last 4 breath cycles here. Gently release your hands to the floor. Slide your palms up your shins and inhale, lift your spine parallel to the floor. Pause here, push your shins forward into your hands, lightly push your hands back into your shins. Draw one hand to one hip, draw the other hand to the other hip. Bend your knees to a 90-degree angle and then bring your spine up to vertical. From here, you can bring your hands to heart center prayer pose, or you can extend your arms alongside your ears. But as you sit for chair, allow yourself to notice where the gaze is and lift the gaze 1 millimeter, just 1 millimeter above eye level. And as you tune in here, begin to return to your breath. Is the breath steady and fluid? Sound consistent and even? And then notice the gaze. Does it stay easily resting on the spot that you have chosen, or does it dart around? And just as always, with every shape we take, there will become a point at which the mind will really start talking to you. It'll tell you all sorts of things like, I can't do this. This shape is too hard. Why are we doing this? In our practice, the tapasaya is really to just hold space for all those aspects of our being. Noticing that the transformation, the change, the doing something different requires that we honor these thoughts, but don't necessarily give them credence over every aspect of our being, over every aspect of our life. So maybe for this last few bits here, you see if you can sit a little lower and breathe a little bit more deeply and consistently, letting the breath be full, letting the breath be even and easy, so that we can start to direct our energy towards those things that our heart desires, that our individual soul expression, being, reason for existing wants to manifest. Take your last 2 breath cycles here. Nice job. Go ahead and inhale, stand up, reach up, look up. And on your next exhale, hands just open out and to the side and just allow yourself to notice the sensations. Nice work. Adding on. Extended side angle with your left foot forward. So go ahead and remove that block. Step your right foot back and slightly to the right. And for today, you might bring your left forearm onto the top of your left thigh. You might bring the left hand to the block to the inside edge of your left foot. Or you might bring the hand all the way down to the floor. And take the arm variation of your choice with the right hand. So maybe the arm extends alongside the ears, or maybe the hand is on your right hip. Wherever you happen to be, push down into your front foot a lot. Push out into the pinky toe edge of your back foot and hug your outer front hip into your back inner thigh. Then observe where your gaze is and deepen your breath. So with Apana Vayu in this shape, I'd like you to breathe where you breathe into your chest, into your ribs, down to your belly, into your pelvis. And then you exhale from the pelvis back up through the abdomen, through the chest, and through the throat. You're noticing how you can send the breath down to the base of the spine, and then noticing how you can send the breath back up. And as you're in this shape, notice where you have to remain engaged. Notice where you can soften and release. Part of doing something different requires a sense of specificity, meaning we know that sometimes we can go balls to the walls. It requires us to do everything that we can, and other times it requires a softer, gentler, more receptive approach. We've got another 5 breath cycles here. Inhale, straighten your front leg. And then exhale, come up for warrior 2. And then straighten the front leg once again. Turn your left toes to the right so both feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat, and just take a moment to lower the hands and breathe. Notice what you notice here. And then we'll take extended side angle on the other side. So you'll turn your right toes to face the back of your space, your left toes in slightly. You might even walk that left foot slightly to the left. And then the right forearm might come to the top of the right thigh, right hand might come to a block or the floor to the inside edge of your right foot, and your left hand will come to your left hip or reach alongside your ears, whichever option works best for you. And then you'll draw that outer right hip back, press into the knife edge of your back foot, and then see if you can rotate your right ribs under, your left ribs up, and pick a steady gazing point. And again, return to the breath. Where does it exist in the body for you in this moment? How can we allow the breath to serve as a teacher so that we really can become masters of our mind, masters of our thoughts, our beliefs, masters of our actions in the world? See if you can remain still and just continue to breathe. Notice if your heart has closed down to the floor or your gaze has drifted. Take your last 4 breath cycles here. Inhale, straighten that front leg, and then come to the warrior 2, and straighten the front leg once again. Turn the right toes to the left, so both feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Now notice if you need to step your feet a little further apart. If you're more flexible or mobile in the hamstrings, you'll walk your feet closer together. From here, draw your shoulders onto your back, lift your heart up. And then as you exhale, fold forward at your hips. Once you're halfway, you might release your hands underneath your shoulders. And then bring your hands down to the outer ankles or just underneath the shoulders. From here, shift your weight forward just a bit so the weight remains even, on the balls of the feet and the heels. Press into your pinky toes and hug in isometrically with your shin bones. Notice now if you can relax the neck, relax the head, and pick a steady point for the gaze to rest. And become aware of what the sensations are here. In some shapes, the sensations are more subtle, which requires a bit more attentiveness as well as curiosity. Wherever you happen to be, can you allow your breath to remain your anchoring point? How steady, how smooth is your inhalation? How steady, how smooth is your exhalation? Notice what you notice. Where is the mind? Where is the breath? Take your last 4 breath cycles here. shoulders if they're not. Inhale, lift your spine halfway, straightening the arms. As you exhale, turn to face the top of your mat, crawl into a low lunge. From here, step your left foot back. And you can either lower your knees to the mat or lower your forearms to the mat, your choice. Phalangasana, plank pose. Now, once we're established there, hands or elbows are directly underneath your shoulders. Lift up through your inner thighs and lengthen your tailbone back through your legs to your feet. Reach your heart and sternum forward. And then again, as you continue to press down into the floor, I want you to breathe into your abdomen. So once we're there, we're focusing on our Samana Vayu. The Samana Vayu, according to tantrics and even hatha yogis, is this notion that it's where we digest all of our experiences and allow them to turn into wisdom. So we started with Apana Vayu, letting go of what we don't need. We also need to be able to digest what we do need, to take nourishment from the things that happen and the things that provide us with nourishment. And so we're allowing ourselves in this moment to really just breathe into your belly. It might shake, it might wobble, you might shake, you might wobble. That's okay. Continue to breathe. Focusing on those exhales and focusing on directing your breath into your abdomen. You've got your last 5 breath cycles here. Notice what you notice. Can you deepen your breath? Can you steady the mind? Gently release onto your abdomen and hold straight down on your belly. And I want you to be still here as best as you can. Maybe you have an ear to the mat, maybe you don't. But can you allow yourself to just be here? Nothing to do other than just receiving the support of the floor. All right, bring your hands alongside your rib cage. Spread wide through your fingers. Separate your feet about hip distance apart and then plant the tops of your feet onto the floor. Straighten your legs and extend back through your tailbone. Draw your pubic bone up to your navel and your navel into your spine. Now from here, start to draw your shoulders up to your ears and draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Push down into your hands enough to start to isometrically draw the hands back and pull the heart forward. And you'll bring yourself up into Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. And I encourage you to be pretty conservative about this. We're going to hold this shape for 3 minutes. So I want you to continue to press down into the tops of your feet, hug those elbows towards each other, and isometrically pull the hands back to pull the heart forward. Allow yourself to to breathe as deeply as you can, still into the upper chest, wide into the ribs, and as far down into the lowest part of your lungs as your breath will go. And then from here, notice if you can lift just your gaze 1 millimeter forward. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. The glutes stay active, the legs stay active. The heart works to remain open. And you're just breathing. I heard this from a yoga teacher this week. Her name is Ushe Malhotra. And I thought this was a beautiful saying. She said, a warrior is not one who's always fighting, but instead is one living and working from the heart. As you're here, can you live and work from the heart? Can you notice where you might need to soften, where you might need to strengthen? Take your last 4 breath cycles here. Gently exhale and lower down. Bring the opposite ear to the mat if you had one ear to the mat. And you'll just hold for a minute. And just observe and notice what you notice. How is the breath in this moment? Can you feel your heart pressing into your ribs, pressing into the floor? Can you notice the small things that are happening in your inner cosmos and how they might influence or impact the things in the outer world, your outer world? All right, bring your forehead to the mat. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Turn your palms to face down and make sure your arms as straight as they can be. And then once again, re-engage your legs. Press down into the tops of the feet. Lengthen through the kneecaps and lengthen your tailbone back. Draw your pubic bone to the belly button. And then from here, draw the belly into the spine just a bit more. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears and the shoulder blades onto your back. On your next in-breath, you'll start to reach your sternum forward as you crawl your fingertips back. Keep reaching back through the toes and pressing down into the tops of the feet. And you'll just take a moment to pause here, reaching the heart forward, hugging the elbows back, hugging the shoulders back, reaching heart forward, reaching toes back. Now, if this shape is working for you, by all means, stay here. Otherwise, you'll reach back through the feet and float the feet up and away from the floor. You can keep your hands on the floor or float your arms away from the floor. And we'll just stay here for our first minute of 2. And you'll just notice and you'll breathe. Can the heart stay open? Can the glutes stay active? And can you remember to breathe? The only thing you have to do is just breathe. Every sensation that comes, allow it to come. Shaking is okay. Allow it to be there. It's just letting go of things you no longer need to keep. You have 1 more minute. the pose and how you can deepen the breath. Keep breathing. Take your last 3 breath cycles here. Gently release down. Either stack your hands underneath your forehead or bring an ear to the mat. All right. Bring your hands alongside your ribs. Press yourself to tabletop. From tabletop, tuck your toes under, spread wide through your hands, and lift yourself up and back, downward facing dog. So in this down dog, you might start by just having your knees bent, spreading wide through the thighs and lifting up through the hips. We'll be in this shape for about 2 minutes. Take a steady point for your gaze. Continue to lift up through the inner armpits and wrap your triceps to the floor. And then again, just notice what you notice. Yoga is a living legacy that transforms us just as much as we transform it. How is that true for you in this moment? How does it change you? How has it changed you? And how do you change it? How have you changed it? Continue to keep your gaze steady. Take your last 4 breath cycles here. Lower your knees to the mat. Go ahead and step your right knee forward. Turn your right toes towards your left hip or bring your right shin parallel to the top of your space. Go ahead and tuck the back toes under and wiggle walk that back foot back, coming in for pigeon pose. Now you might choose to bring your hands on blocks. You might put a block or a blanket underneath that right hip, or you might lay on your back and do Sukhi Randrasana figure 4, but choose the option that works best for you. And then allow yourself to first push down into that front shin, push down into that back knee, suck those points together. Lift up through your spine as you lengthen down through your tail, and you might stay upright, or you might start to crawl your hands forward and allow your pigeon to be a bit more prone. If you're on your back, continue to press that right ankle into the top of the left thigh and hug the thigh in, noticing how you might open the left leg out to the left just a little bit to find equal weight along the back of your sacrum. And then in this shape, notice your breath. How can you begin to positively change the relationship that you have with your breath, that you have with your body, that you're having with this moment? The Yajurveda is just a real reminder that the more that we're able to take ownership of how we respond in the most minute things, it enables us to take ownership in how we respond in the larger things. That response ends up having a ripple effect, changing other things as well. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. If you're on your back, you'll simply lower the right foot. Take a moment to pause before switching sides. And if you're on your prone position, you'll start to walk back up to tabletop. And then you'll gently prepare yourself for the second side, walking that left shin knee forward, taking the left foot towards the right hip or parallel to the top of your space. And then wiggling that back foot back. From there, try to square your hips as best as you can, lengthening down through the tail, pulling up through the pubic bone and navel. And then maybe you'll walk yourself forward, or maybe you'll stay upright. Stay with your breath. Stay with your breath. Take your last 3 breath cycles here. If you're in the prone position, start to walk your hands back towards your hips and then swing your right leg around in front of you. If you're on your back, uncross your left leg and roll to one of your sides to come up to sit. From here, we'll take Ardha Matsyendrasana. So you might want to sit on a block or a blanket if you've got it. Your left shin will be down and you'll cross your right foot to the outside edge of your left thigh. From here, maybe you might need to shift your butt a little bit to the left, and then you'll hug your arms around your right thigh. Right hand might come back behind you or stay around that left thigh or right thigh, and then you'll lift up through your spine and then start to rotate from your abdomen. So it's the right rib cage that's emptying, the left rib cage that's filling and starting to pour towards the inner right thigh. And then once you're in your shape, notice where your gaze is. See if you can steady it just 1 millimeter above eye level. So it's really tiny. It's not a big deal. And then continue to become aware or curious about where the breath is, noticing when you check out and see if you can check back in. One of the things I found interesting this week from my lesson that I took with Kushi, she said that sometimes we aren't ready to hear the answers to the questions that we ask. And sometimes the answers will only come in time through our tapas, through our daily practice. And so as you're here in this shape, we're practicing what's called tapasaya. We're allowing ourselves to practice in this moment concentration on the breath, connection to the breath, connection to the feelings in our body. And in time, through that disciplined effort, the answers to the questions that we've asked will begin to reveal themselves very clearly. So we'll know those changes that we need to make in order to show up differently. And we'll be able to trust in the message that we receive. Take your last 2 breath cycles here, letting the breath be as deep and as full as it can be. Go ahead and take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then you'll inhale and unwind your spine. Release the right leg in front of you and the left leg in front of you. And then you'll bring your right shin to the floor. Cross your left foot over to the outside edge of your right foot. And then notice if you need to shift your hips up and slightly to the right until it feels like both sit bones are equally rooted on the floor. And you'll hug your left knee into your chest, right elbow outside of left thigh, maybe the left hand back behind you. Sit tall through the spine. And then as you exhale, you'll start to rotate the rib cage towards the left. And it's really coming by allowing the left side belly to empty, the right side belly, right rib cage to fill and to reach towards that inner left thigh. And find a steady point for your gaze. And return to your breath. And as you're with your breath, you're again noticing what you notice. Where can you soften just a bit? Where can you allow yourself to become more receptive and open? Where can you allow yourself to be more fortified, more strong, more determined? I cannot really speak for any of you, but I do believe that many of us are trying to be warriors in our own life. We're trying to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. We're trying to have a positive impact on the world around us. And how can we remember that we don't always need to fight, but we can instead choose to live and work and breathe and love from our hearts? Let that be the space in which we follow our soul's desires, our minds, our heart's desires. Take a big breath in and take a big breath out. So gently unwind and come back to center. And for today, we'll do Paschimottanasana. So go ahead and extend both of your legs long in front of you. If you do need to elevate your bum on something, by all means, do that. But otherwise, I want you to pull your toes back in alignment to your face, in alignment with your knees, and your hands can be alongside your hips. And you might just start to crawl yourself forward and fold in. You might want to reach your arms up and overhead and fold in. It's totally up to you. Your hands might grab the outer edges of your shin bones. They might grab the soles of your feet. They might not touch any of that. That's okay. Wherever you are, you'll see if you can lift really long through the spine and then start to melt your belly towards your thighs, your heart towards your shin bones and your knees. And in this internal space, just as we started with child's pose, can you breathe into your pelvis? Can you breathe into your hips and your low back? Can you breathe wide into your ribs? Can you breathe into the space behind your heart? Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Start to walk your hands alongside your hips and press yourself up to vertical. When your spine is vertical, just take a moment to pause there in Dandasana, staff pose. And then you'll start to make your way onto your back. And when you come onto your back, just lay flat. Please make sure a block is somewhere easily accessible, but just lay flat. And you'll just let yourself hang out here for just a moment and notice what you notice. Gently bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Slide that block between your thigh bones on whatever setting feels best to you. And then bring your hands alongside your hips. Turn your palms to face up towards the sky and then walk your shoulders closer towards your ears. From here, inhale, push through your feet, push through the backs of your arms, lift your hips high. And once your hips are high, you might walk the shoulders underneath you even more and maybe clasp the hands, or maybe just push the hands down into the floor. Squeeze into your block, press down into your big toes and lengthen your tailbone, buttocks, flesh towards your block. From here, notice if you can invite the sternum closer to your chin and draw the chin away from the sternum. Now, as you're in this shape, you'll stay active where you need to, pressing down into the feet, hugging into that block, engaging the backs of your legs. And then you'll notice if you can breathe into the space behind the heart. Again, I cannot speak for any of you, but I know that on my quest for life, on my quest to be a warrior, to be a good person, to be the best version of myself so that I can serve in the way that I was intended to, there sometimes becomes a tendency to harden around the heart. How can we continue to breathe and soften around the heart, even as our legs do powerful work, even as we do powerful work in the world? Continue to notice how you can deepen the breath. Take your last 4 breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhale, gently release your hands, untuck your shoulders, and bring your pelvis back down to the floor and pause. Now, as you're here, just take a moment to check in. Our next shape, you've got options. You can either do a supported bridge with your blocks to support the weight of your pelvis. You can do a supported legs up the wall with a block underneath your pelvis. Or you can do that modified shoulder stand using the forearms to support the weight of the pelvis. You will choose whichever option works best for you. And that will happen when the bell goes off now. Choose one of those 3 options for you. And once you've chosen your option, bring yourself to a still, neutral spot. And again, you're just focusing on the breath, specifically as it moves up and down your spine. So as you inhale, you're drawing the breath from the upper part of the ribs into the belly towards the pelvis. As you exhale, you're drawing the breath from the pelvis through the belly, through the ribs, back up. take a big breath out. If your legs are lifted, slowly bend your knees and plant one foot and then the other on the floor. Once your feet are on the floor, take a moment to pause. Engage the backs of your legs and then push down through the feet to lift your pelvis high. Remove the block from underneath you and bring your pelvis back down. And then from here, draw the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open and splay like a book, and you might use your blocks to support the outer edges of your thighs, your knees. You might also find that this is the time that you want to cover the body if your room or space is cold. Great. And then from here, notice where you would like to place your hands. Today, for some of you, it might feel really nice to have the hands on the torso, maybe on the pelvis, or a hand on the heart and a hand on the abdomen. Some of you might want to cactus the arms or let the arms open out to the right and to the left. And you're taking this moment to really just check in and see what would feel best to you. And then as this is our last shape, I encourage you to get any last little fidgets out before we remain in stillness. Now in this shape, bring your awareness to your abdomen. And as your awareness is on your abdomen, just notice what happens as your body breathes in. And notice what happens as your body breathes out. Allow your awareness to rest on the navel. And just notice what happens as the body breathes in and the body breathes out. You'll be like this for a few moments, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Gently let go of the technique and return your awareness. As you come back, just allow yourself to check in. Very gently, you'll start to invite small movement into your physical form, whatever way feels best to you. Gently, you'll start to make your way over to one of your sides and come to a soft semi-fetal position. From there, you'll roll your chest towards the floor, press into your top hand, and come up to a tall, comfortable seat. Now we are going to end with just a little bit of pranayama, so I do encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket. And if your space is cold, maybe wrapping yourself still feel nice. And then once you're situated, do whatever little wiggles you need to so that you feel like you can bring your body to stillness. So you might need to remove flesh from underneath your bum. You might need to shake out your shoulders. But you'll take both of your palms and allow them to face up on your thighs. Tuck your left index finger into your left thumb. And you might turn that palm up or down depending upon what feels best to you. And then on your right hand, you'll tuck your middle finger and index finger down towards the palm of your hand. Draw your thumb to your right nostril and the ring finger to your left. Gently exhale all the breath through your mouth. Close your mouth. Close the right nostril and inhale through your left. Top of your inhalation, close your left nostril and exhale out through the right. When you need to, draw the breath in through the right. Top of your inhalation, close your right and exhale out through your left. That counts as one round. You'll continue on your own for about a minute or so, allowing your awareness just to rest on the flow of breath through one nostril and then through the other. The next time the breath exits through the left nostril, you'll simply lower your right hand. Take the same mudra with your right hand that you have on the left. And then from here, just bring your awareness to the tips of your nostrils. And you're just following the breath from the tips of the nostrils up through the nostril walls as high up as the breath will go towards the center of the eyes. And then you'll exhale and follow the awareness and the breath right back down. Inhale, you draw the breath and the awareness up the nostrils to the center of the forehead. And as you exhale, the awareness travels back down, exhaling with the breath. Now, as you continue to do this, you might start to feel a bit of tingling in the center of the forehead, a bit of light, a bit of energy, a bit of heat. As that energy, that light, that heat, that tingling sensation begins to build, you might find that you just want to rest your awareness in that space, in that sensation. And then gradually, once that energy is built there, see if you can start to send it a little further back behind the eyes so it's in the midbrain, a bit above your soft palate. And again, you're just noticing the sensation, you're noticing the presence, the energy, the light, or the heat. It might be moving in rhythm of the breath, and it might not be. And then gradually, you might find that that energy naturally starts to expand and extend down to your heart space. Without too much effort, you'll start to draw your awareness into the heart. And again, this energy might be pulsing with the heartbeat, might be pulsing with the breath, might be on its own rhythm. And just allowing yourself to just connect with that. Once you feel like your awareness is established there, I want to invite you to set an intention. Set a question that you'd like to ask. And then we'll trust that through our practice, through our awareness, the answer will come in time. Our prana is the means by which our heart's desires can be filled. Our breath, our vitality, our life force is the means by which we can show up in our lives and in our world in the way we wish to, making the necessary changes. So we'll go ahead and complete our practice by drawing our hands to heart center. Press your palms in towards each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and then lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your hands to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within you. Namaste.